Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to tackle a universal human experience, a struggle that binds students, artists, entrepreneurs, and pretty much all of us together at some point in our lives: procrastination. We all know the feeling. That important project is looming, the deadline is approaching, but suddenly the urge to do anything else becomes overwhelmingly powerful. We often beat ourselves up over this, labeling it as laziness, a failure of discipline, or just poor time management. But what if I told you that this common narrative is fundamentally wrong? What if the real reason you put things off has very little to do with being lazy and everything to do with your emotions? Let's dive deep into the real psychology of procrastination and explore why this habit is so hard to break. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you have a critical task to complete? Something that truly matters for your future, yet you choose to do something completely different, like meticulously organizing the spice jars in your kitchen cabinet alphabetically? You might even take the time to wipe down each individual jar before placing it back. In that moment, if someone were to walk in and call you lazy, it would feel deeply unfair, wouldn't it? After all, you're not lounging on the couch watching TV or hanging out with friends. You are actively engaged in a task that requires focus and effort. You're cleaning, being productive in a way, doing something your parents might even be proud of. This scenario perfectly illustrates that procrastination is not about a lack of effort, but about the misdirection of that effort. It's a complex and active process of choosing to do something else, despite knowing you should be doing the task at hand. So if it's not laziness, what is it? The term procrastination itself is derived from the Latin verb procrastinare, which means to put off until tomorrow. But this definition only scratches the surface. To truly understand it, we have to look at the ancient Greek concept of akrasia, which describes the act of doing something against your own better judgment. You know you should be working on that report, but you choose to scroll through social media instead. You know the consequences will be negative, yet you do it anyway. Dr. Piers Steele, a professor of motivational psychology at the University of Calgary and a leading expert on this subject, frames it in even starker terms. He calls procrastination a form of self-harm. The core reason it feels so bad is that we are consciously aware that we are sabotaging our future selves. We understand that by avoiding the task now, we are only making it more stressful and difficult later. And despite this rational understanding, we still do it. This is the central paradox of procrastination. Dr. Fushia Sirowas, a professor of psychology at the University of Sheffield, explains that this is why procrastination is fundamentally irrational. It makes no logical sense to willingly choose a course of action that you know will have negative consequences for you. The reason we engage in this irrational behavior, she argues, is a failure to manage the negative emotions associated with the task itself. This brings us to the main point. We procrastinate because we are in a bad mood, and we're trying to feel better. Procrastination is not a character flaw or some mysterious curse on your ability to manage time. It is, at its core, an emotional regulation problem. It's a coping mechanism our brain uses to deal with challenging and unpleasant feelings. Think about the tasks you tend to put off. They are often associated with feelings of boredom, anxiety, insecurity, frustration, resentment, or self-doubt. As Dr. Tim Seikel, a psychology professor and member of the procrastination research group at Carleton University, concludes, procrastination is an emotion regulation problem, not a time management problem. A landmark 2013 study by Dr. Feichel and Dr. Sirowas found that procrastination can be understood as the primacy of short-term, mood repair over the longer-term pursuit of intended actions. In simpler terms, we give in to the immediate, urgent need to manage our negative feelings right now, rather than engaging with the task that is causing them. The source of this aversion can be inherent in the task itself. Nobody enjoys cleaning a dirty bathroom or compiling a long, boring spreadsheet for their boss. But often the negative feelings are deeper, stemming from our own insecurities about the task. You might stare at a blank page and think, I'm not smart enough to write this. Or, what if people think my work is terrible? Or this is just too hard. What if I fail? These feelings of self-doubt, low self-esteem, and anxiety make the task feel threatening. And in that moment, turning away from that threatening blank page to go organize your bookshelf doesn't seem like such a bad idea. It offers immediate relief. But of course, this relief is temporary and ultimately deceptive. The task doesn't go away. When you eventually return to it, the original negative feelings are still there, but now they are compounded by the added stress of a tighter deadline, and feelings of guilt, shame, and self-blame for having procrastinated in the first place. This cycle of self-criticism is so common that researchers have a name for it: procrastinatory cognitions. Thinking about our own procrastination generates more distress and anxiety, which, ironically, makes us want to procrastinate even more to escape those very feelings. What truly makes procrastination a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle is the powerful, albeit fleeting, sense of relief it provides. The moment you decide to put the task aside, your brain gets a hit of positive reinforcement. You feel better. Dr. Sirois explains that you've been rewarded for procrastinating. And as basic behavioral science tells us, when we are rewarded for an action, we are much more likely to repeat it. This is why procrastination is rarely a one-time act. It quickly becomes a chronic habit, a go-to response for dealing with any challenging emotion. Over time, this chronic habit doesn't just damage your productivity. It takes a serious toll on your mental and physical health. It's linked to chronic stress, psychological distress, low life satisfaction, symptoms of depression and anxiety, and can even contribute to poor physical health and cardiovascular disease. But wait, you might ask, if we procrastinate to feel better, why does it end up making us feel so much worse? The irony is stark, and the reason lies deep within our evolutionary wiring. Procrastination is a perfect example of what psychologists call present bias, a natural human tendency to prioritize short-term needs and rewards over long-term goals. Dr. Hal Hershfield, a psychologist at UCLA, explains that we simply weren't built to think far into the future. Our brains are hardwired to focus on what will make us feel good in the present moment. Dr. Hershfield's research has even shown that on a neurological level, we tend to perceive our future self as a stranger, not as a part of our current identity. So when we procrastinate, a part of our brain genuinely feels as though we are pushing the task, and all the negative emotions that come with it, onto someone else. It's that stranger's problem, not ours. Making matters worse is how our brain responds to stress. When we face a task that triggers anxiety or insecurity, the amygdala, the brain's threat detector, perceives that task as a genuine threat to our self-esteem or well-being. Even if our rational mind knows that putting off the task will cause more problems down the line, our brain's emotional, threat response system takes over in a process researchers call an amygdala hijack. It prioritizes eliminating the threat in the present moment above all else. This is why you can't simply reason your way out of procrastination. No matter how many productivity hacks you try or how many to-do lists you make, focusing solely on how to get more done fails to address the root cause. Procrastination isn't a surface-level problem. It's a deep-seated emotional response. So, now that we understand that procrastination is not a moral failing but a complex interplay of emotions, evolution, and brain chemistry, the real question becomes, what can we do about it? How do we break this deeply ingrained cycle and learn to manage our emotions in a healthier, more productive way? Understanding the problem is the first, most crucial step, but solving it requires a different set of strategies, which we will explore next.